Good morning, everyone. Here from Hillside Community Church. Hope you're doing all right. I'm Reverend Tom, here with licensed pastor Tassie. It's really hot here, so you probably can hear the fans going, but we decided to leave those on. We hope you can join us at 11:30 for our virtual coffee hour. We'll have our Swedenborg reading group after that, and our usual groups are still going on. So we'd love to have you there. And as always, if you somehow are not on our newsletter, you'd like to join those groups, please let me know and I'll make sure to include you and send you those links. And with that, let's kind of start our time together with the Lord's Prayer.
Right. So if you'll join us with the Lord's Prayer, you can say it in any form that is comfortable for you. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Thank you.
Thanks, Tassie. Now have our little centering moment. If you want to just make yourself comfortable, however that looks for you. Take some deep breaths, perhaps. Allow yourself to become truly present in this moment. Observe your breath. The climate that you're in, how it's making you feel. Just observe it. And as much as the sun may be an inconvenience for us right now, I invite you to meditate on the image of the sun. If your eyes are open, I invite you to meditate on the piece of art that's on our altar this morning from our Hillsider John Scott Springwater. Let it speak to you. Let's sit with the image of the sun. Visualize its warmth, its brightness. Visualize being illuminated as you draw closer and closer towards the sun. Be aware that all of us at this moment are spiritually facing that same sun. Opening ourselves up to what it represents. Divine love and wisdom. Let's continue to sit with that image as we hear the readings for today.
We'll start with Genesis chapter 1, verses 1 through 3. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was without form and void, and darkness was over the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters. And God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. And God saw that the light was good.
Our second reading comes from a 6th century theologian and mystic, Pseudo-Dionysius. And this is from his work, The Divine Names. Even as our sun, not by calculating or choosing, but by its very being, enlightens all things able to partake of its light in their own degree, so too goodness, as superior to a sun, as the ultimate archetype, is above an obscure image. By its very essence, sends to all things that be the rays of its whole being, according to their capacity. By reason of these rays subsist all the intelligible and intelligent essences and powers and energies. By reason of these they are, and have their life, continuous and undiminished, purified from all corruption and death and matter and generation, and separated from mutability, and are conceived of as incorporeal and immaterial. And as minds, they are illuminated as to the reasons of things, in a manner peculiar to themselves. And they again convey to their kindred spirits things appropriate to them, and have their life from goodness.
Our third reading is from Emanuel Swedenborg's Divine Love and Wisdom, section 290. In the spiritual world, divine love and wisdom look like a sun. Spiritual warmth and spiritual light emanate from that sun. That sun is not God, but an emanation from the divine love and wisdom of the divine human one. The same is true of warmth and light from that sun. The sun of the spiritual world is seen at a middle elevation, as far from angels as the physical world's sun is from us. The east in the spiritual world is where the Lord is seen as the sun, and the other directions follow from that. Angels always face the Lord as the sun. The Lord created the universe and everything in it by means of that sun, which is the first emanation of divine love and wisdom.
We'll now have our usual post-reading meditation, and today I invite us to do a little bit of a Swedenborgian Lectio Divina. So after the gong, I will start and then end our meditation with another very short quote from Swedenborg for us to just kind of sit with. That quote will be from True Christianity 691. If you want to look it up later, and we'll include it in the link as well. God is love itself. And love itself in the spiritual world appears before the angels as a sun. God is love itself, and love itself in the spiritual world appears before the angels as a sun. I'm debating in my head whether the whole sun allegory was the right choice for today.
Are we done?
We're not done yet, no.
Comments?
No, we're still recording.
Okay.
That's John Scott in the back, if you're wondering. I did want to share a little bit of a reflection about this topic. And again, pardon me if I picked the sun at an inconvenient Sunday.
It's a difference.
Yeah. But, just sitting with that image this week, I selected the readings before because I somehow, before it got super hot, felt called to engage that topic. And of course, John Scott's beautiful artwork is here for us to meditate on. And it really did evoke a lot of stuff in me this week. I'm thinking back on our discussion last week about, that active loving kindness, active usefulness as being the highest source of spiritual growth, and in fact the highest form of worship, right? So as we were kind of struggling with, church isn't the same, if you even want to call it church, lacks a lot of those things we associate with it. It's the idea that there's a church within us and there's a church universal, and there's this idea that the church is whenever we are engaging in that life of service and usefulness and kindness and truthfulness. And, it just ties into this weird time that we're living in right now with COVID going on, presidential election coming up, and then just the stress of, the entire situation we're in with the lockdowns, et cetera, however that's affecting us. And it seems somewhat, I don't want to say pretentious, but it seems maybe presumptuous to kind of just have these, cookie cutter answers of, well, if you just keep doing the right thing, keep being nice, keep being truthful, you'll be able to navigate this stuff, which I think is actually true, but a lot of times it doesn't seem that way. So I feel like we need a practice to really settle us down and think about, well, where does that love and that goodness and that kindness really come from? right? And Swedenborg has this idea that we don't really have to worry about, where am I going to get this stuff? Because love and truth are constantly permeating towards us and through us from the divine. And there's this idea that Swedenborg, the most common image Swedenborg uses by far to kind of illustrate, the Lord, the divine, and how he, as we read in his visions, that's how the divine is represented in the spiritual world as this beautiful sun that in its rays. And that idea that sometimes, it's not so much about being busy trying to do the right thing, but simply letting ourselves be permeated with that goodness, without effort, without trying to make things overly complicated, right? To just sit there and open ourselves up, to open ourselves up to this influx, as Swedenborg calls it. He says it's constantly going on, that we can constantly open ourselves up to, even in moments when we don't know what the kind thing or the truthful thing to do is. Take that step back and consciously open ourselves up to love and to wisdom, knowing that we might ourselves neither have the ability to fully embody them or to understand them, but letting them permeate through us. And what's great about this, again, and one of the things we talked about a few weeks, was that weird dichotomy that exists in all of the mystical traditions between going within, right? To go within, the highest is within, all of this talk of going within, and at the same time, this talk of being an active person, right? So how do we reconcile this practice of just having it flow into us, which seems passive, right, to living a life of charity, right? And there's a Swedenborgian sort of bumper sticker slogan, which should never be a bumper sticker because nobody who's not a Swedenborgian will understand it, is influx equals afflux. Which again sounds super pretentious, only Swedenborgians, and not even most Swedenborgians will know what I'm even talking about. But Swedenborg, as he has this idea of influx, of inflow, he has the idea of afflux, that which then flows out. And the idea is that our inflow equals our outflow. Which means if we're simply sitting by ourselves, in the corner, and waiting for that inflow to happen, it's already there. There's nothing we can do to not make it there, right? But we have to let it permeate outwards. It can't just all store up and then we'll explode in some kind of weird metaphysical destructive phenomenon. It's all about flowing out. That which flows in needs to flow out. So what I kind of want us to sit with this week as we face these challenges is to really take a break and allow ourselves to simply receive, to simply wait for God to inspire us with that love, with that wisdom. And the idea is that it's already there. We just have to really open our spiritual eyes to it. And just as the sun is constantly sending its streams of light and warmth, so that the love and wisdom of the divine is always available to us and is in fact always at the center of our being. And with that, I hope that maybe we can have some more discussion in our coffee hour, which will be happening virtually. Again, I'll send you the link if you haven't gotten it yet, but by now all of you should probably have it. At 11:30 to noon, and then at noon we'll be having our Swedenborg reading group. So glad you could join us. Is there anything important that I'm leaving out?
Not leaving out, but I always want to say the Lord is always trying to get through.
Yep, that's right. All right, peace and power, everyone. We will get by. Take care, be safe, be healthy, and stay in touch. Thanks so much.